Eli never imagined that one day he would share a small dorm room with an alien. When he first joined the Galactic Academy on Europa, he thought his roommate would be another human, someone from Earth, maybe from one of the new colonies. But when the dorm door opened for the first time, standing there was a tall, silver-scaled being with bright amber eyes and a voice that sounded like a low melody. His name was Tarn, a Larethian from a distant water world that circled two suns. At first, Eli didn't know how to act. He had read about aliens in textbooks, seen them in vids, but living with one was different. Tarn moved differently, spoke slowly, and didn't seem to understand humor. He could go hours without saying a single word, just sitting near the window staring at the stars like he was listening to something no one else could hear. Their first days together were awkward. Eli tried to start small talk about music, games, food, but Tarn didn't eat human food. He preferred glowing energy cubes that smelled faintly like metal. When Eli ordered pizza for both of them, Tarn tilted his head and said, "It tastes like burnt stars." Eli laughed, but Tarn just blinked, confused. Still, something about Tarn fascinated him. The alien was gentle, calm, and wise beyond his years. He would often hum soft tones that filled the air with peace. And when Eli had bad dreams, he noticed Tarn quietly adjusting the room's light or air pressure, saying, "It helps calm your nervous system." Despite their differences, an unusual friendship began to grow. Tarn taught Eli how to use alien frequency translators, how to feel sound instead of just hearing it. In return, Eli taught Tarn about human emotions, what it meant to miss home, to laugh, to hope. Tarn found it strange that humans could cry from both sadness and happiness. Days passed like that, quiet and strange, yet somehow comforting. But everything changed one night. It started with a faint hum outside their dorm window. At first, Eli thought it was just the usual power relay vibration, but the sound grew louder, deeper, almost alive. He walked to the glass and looked out. The sky above Europa's dome was turning red. Not the kind of red from sunlight or reflection. This was thick, glowing, and pulsing like a living thing. Tarn stood up suddenly, his body tense. His eyes reflected the crimson light. "That is not normal atmosphere behavior," he said quietly. "It feels conscious." Before Eli could reply, the academy alarm blared through the halls. "Attention all students. Remain indoors. Do not attempt communication. A spatial anomaly has been detected." The walls shook slightly. The lights flickered, dimmed, then returned. Eli's heart pounded. "What's happening?" Tarn pressed his hand against the metal wall. "Something is moving outside the dome." "Not a storm. Something more." Eli's throat went dry. He stepped back from the window as the red light pulsed again. It didn't feel like light anymore. It felt like a heartbeat. The lockdown engaged with a heavy metallic clang. The door sealed shut, trapping them inside the small room. Eli and Tarn exchanged glances. For the first time, Eli saw fear in Tarn's golden eyes. "Could it be an attack?" Eli whispered. Tarn shook his head slowly. "No, the energy signature is wrong. It does not aim to destroy. It calls." Eli frowned. "Calls? Calls who?" But Tarn didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the window, where the red glow was now swirling like liquid fire. Shadows moved inside it, long, thin shapes that didn't belong to any species Eli knew. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The air turned heavy, and the faint hum became a whisper at the edge of hearing, like something was trying to speak through the storm. Eli took a step closer to Tarn, his voice trembling. "What's out there?" Tarn didn't look away. His voice was barely a breath. "Something ancient, something lost. And it has found us." The alarm kept echoing through the dorm's narrow halls, a deep metallic sound that made Eli's heart pound faster with every second. He stood frozen beside the window, staring at the red storm that danced above Europa's protective dome. The light wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing, alive, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to their world. "Attention, all residents," the voice repeated through the intercom. "A containment lockdown is now active. Remain in your quarters. Await further instructions." Then everything went silent. The hum that filled the air before was gone. The sound of the storm outside became faint, almost distant, but it carried something strange within it. A whispering tone, too soft to be words, yet too deliberate to be random. Eli turned to Tarn. The alien was standing perfectly still, his long fingers pressed against the metal door. His scales reflected the red glow in shifting patterns almost like ripples on water. Tarn, what's going on? Eli asked quietly. Tarn didn't answer right away. His head tilted slightly, eyes closing as if he was listening to something deep beneath the noise. Then he opened them again and said softly, "It's not a storm. It's a signal." "A signal? From who?" "I do not know." Tarn's voice was calm but tight, almost trembling. "But it is not natural. It feels alive." Eli swallowed hard. The idea of a living storm sounded impossible, but so did a lot of things out here. The Galactic Academy had taught him that space was full of mysteries, some beautiful, some terrifying. But this one felt different. It felt personal. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. The room temperature dropped fast. Frost began forming on the inside of the walls, tiny crystals glittering like stars. Eli rubbed his arms, shivering. "Why is it getting cold? The heating system shouldn't fail like this." Tarn's eyes narrowed. "It's not failure. It's interference. Something outside is drawing energy from the dome. Feeding." Eli stared at him. "Feeding? You mean alive? Tarn didn't answer. He just looked toward the window. The red glow outside shifted again, and Eli could see movement within it, dark silhouettes twisting and stretching, like shapes made of smoke and light. For a second, one of them turned toward the dorm. Eli's breath caught in his throat. He could swear it looked back. He stumbled away from the glass. "It saw me," he whispered. "Tarn, I think it saw me." Tarn stepped closer to the window, calm and silent. His reflection merged with the stormlight until it was hard to tell where alien ended and the strange red began. "They are searching," Tarn murmured, reaching through the layers between dimensions. "They are not attacking, only trying to touch something." Eli didn't like the sound of that. "Touch what, us?" "Perhaps minds," Tarn said, his tone low. "Perhaps memories." Eli backed away, his pulse racing. The air felt heavy, pressing down on his lungs. He wanted to call the control center to contact someone, but his communicator was dead. No signal, no response, only static. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. The storm's pulse began syncing with his heartbeat. Every flash of red made his chest tighten. "Tarn," he whispered. "I can feel it. Like it's inside my head." Tarn turned toward him sharply. "Do not let it in. Keep your thoughts steady. It feeds on chaos and fear." Eli nodded shakily, trying to focus on anything else. The cold floor beneath his boots, the quiet hum of the emergency lights, the distant memory of Earth's blue sky. But the whisper kept returning, faint yet clear. It wasn't just noise anymore. It sounded like a voice. "Help." The word echoed faintly in his mind. His eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" Tarn looked at him for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "Yes, they are calling." The storm outside brightened again, red light spilling into every corner of the room. Eli felt dizzy. The walls seemed to move. He grabbed the table to keep himself steady. "What do they want from us?" he asked weakly. Tarn looked toward the window again. His expression was unreadable, but his voice carried both awe and sadness. "They want to be found," and with that, the room went dark. The last thing Eli saw before the power cut completely was Tarn's glowing eyes staring into the storm, as if he recognized something within it. The power was gone. The room was wrapped in darkness except for the soft red glow that seeped through the window. It painted everything in strange colors, the walls, the table, even Tarn's silver scales. The hum outside had turned into a deep, steady rhythm, like the breathing of some enormous creature. Eli sat on the edge of his bed, shivering slightly. His heart was still racing from the sudden blackout. The air felt heavy and cold. It wasn't just silence, it was a silence that listened back. "Tarn," he whispered, "what's happening out there?" The alien didn't answer immediately. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, hands resting on his knees. His scales shimmered faintly with a blue light, like reflections of distant stars. After a long pause, Tarn said softly, "They are calling louder now." Eli frowned. "Calling? Who's calling, Tarn?" "The beings inside the storm," Tarn said slowly. His voice was calm, but there was tension beneath it. "They are trapped. I can feel their thoughts brushing against mine." Eli's skin prickled. "You can feel them?" "Yes, they speak through emotions, not words. It is hard to describe." Tarn opened his eyes and looked at Eli. "They feel lost, confused, in pain." Eli stood and walked closer, his fear mixing with curiosity. Can you talk back to them? Tarn's golden eyes glowed faintly. Maybe, but communication through this kind of energy is dangerous. Minds are not meant to touch in this way. Eli looked at the window. The storm seemed alive, swirling patterns of red and black moving with purpose. He felt something deep inside him, like a whisper that wasn't sound but thought. It wasn't threatening. It was sad. I think, Eli said slowly. I think I can feel it too. Tarn turned sharply. You can? I don't know. But it's like it's trying to reach me. It doesn't feel evil. It feels... He hesitated, searching for the right word. Lonely. Tarn's eyes softened. Lonely. Yes, that is the right word. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Only the faint pulse of the storm filled the silence, beating like a slow heart. Then Tarn stood. If they are reaching for us, maybe we can guide them. Maybe we can help them move away from this place before they damage the dome or themselves. Eli blinked. You mean, talk to them? Not with words. With feeling, Tarn replied. Your species has strong emotional energy. Humans burn bright. That may be what they're drawn to. Eli gave a small nervous laugh. Great, so now I'm an alien beacon? Tarn didn't smile. It may be the only way. Eli's stomach turned. The idea of sharing thoughts with something that lived inside a cosmic storm terrified him. But when he looked at Tarn, he saw no fear, only quiet resolve. What do I do? Eli asked finally. Sit, Tarn said. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Focus on one clear feeling, something pure. Eli sat opposite Tarn. The room was dim, their faces lit only by the red glow outside. He tried to steady his breath, his mind. He thought of home, of Earth's blue skies, his mother's laughter, the warmth of sunlight through an open window. Tarn's voice was low and steady. Now hold that feeling. Let it flow outward, not with words but with emotion. Eli did as he said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then faintly he felt it, like a soft touch at the edge of his thoughts. Something vast and ancient brushing against his mind with curiosity and sadness. He gasped. It's there. Tarn nodded slowly, his own glow growing stronger. They hear you. A strange warmth spread through Eli's chest, even as tears filled his eyes. The feeling from the storm was not anger or hatred. It was longing. It wanted home. Tarn's voice came like a whisper. They are trapped. Between folds of time. They cannot find their way back, Eli's breath caught. Then we have to help them. Tarn looked at him, eyes bright in the red light. Yes, but to do that we must open the connection completely. Eli hesitated, fear flickering inside him. Will it hurt? Tarn gave a small, sad smile. Only if we fail. Outside the storm pulsed again. Slower now, steadier. The shadows within it seemed to turn toward them. Something was waiting. Eli reached out his hand. Tarn took it, his scales cold but steady. Together they closed their eyes and the storm listened. Eli's hand trembled as it rested in Tarn's cool grip. The room around them was silent except for the soft vibration coming through the floor. Outside, the storm pulsed slowly, its red light washing over everything. It felt like the whole world was breathing with them. Tarn's voice was calm, almost soothing. Stay focused. Keep your thoughts clear. Eli nodded, closing his eyes. He could feel the strange presence pressing against his mind again, like a door waiting to open. For a moment he wanted to pull away, but Tarn's hand tightened slightly. The touch grounded him. Don't fight it, Tarn whispered. Let it come. Eli took a deep breath. The pressure grew stronger, and suddenly, it was as if his mind had been pulled into a vast ocean of red light. He wasn't in the dorm anymore. He was floating in endless space, surrounded by flickering shadows. Each shadow pulsed faintly as if trying to form a shape, a voice, a memory. He heard soft murmurs, echoes of thoughts that weren't his own. Confusion, fear, endless wandering. It felt like thousands of lost souls whispering all at once. Then he felt Tarn's presence beside him, steady, bright, and calm. Do not let the fear take you, Tarn's voice echoed in his mind. Focus on their message, Eli tried. Beneath the noise, he began to feel something familiar. A plea, a desperate cry. The beings inside the storm weren't trying to harm anyone. They were trapped. He saw flashes of images in his mind. A star collapsing, a world breaking apart, beings made of light and sound pulled into a tear in reality. They had been caught between dimensions, frozen in time, unable to move forward or back. Eli gasped, opening his eyes for a moment. The room came back into focus, but it was shaking. The walls vibrated as if reacting to what they were doing. Sparks of energy flickered around them. "Tarn," Eli said breathlessly. "They're stuck. They're not attacking us, they just want help." Tarn opened his eyes slowly. His glow was brighter now, covering his whole body. "Yes," he said softly. "I can feel it too. They are reaching for a way home." Eli took a shaky breath. "Can we help them?" "Maybe," Tarn said, his expression serious. "But it will require energy. A lot of it. I can create a resonance field, something that will show them the path away from this place." "Okay," Eli said quickly. "Then let's do it." Tarn shook his head slightly. "It's dangerous. The energy could destroy the neural links between us. I might not survive." Eli stared at him, stunned. "You're not doing this alone. We started it together. We end it together." Tarn looked at him quietly. "Humans," he said softly, almost smiling. "Always so willing to risk for others." Eli gave a weak grin. "It's what we do best." They began preparing. Tarn adjusted his translator node, placing it against the wall while Eli powered up the emergency battery unit. The red light outside began to swirl faster, as if sensing what they were doing. "Once I start," Tarn warned, "you must hold the connection. If we lose focus, the field will collapse." "I got it," Eli said. "Let's bring them home." Tarn closed his eyes again. The blue glow around him intensified, mixing with the red from outside. It filled the room with purple light that shimmered like mist. Eli felt warmth spreading through the air, and then the whispers returned. Louder this time, but not frightening. They sounded grateful. The room shook violently. The metal walls groaned as energy waves rippled through them. Eli clenched his teeth, focusing on one thought. "You're not alone." Tarn's voice echoed faintly in his mind. "Good, Eli. Keep it steady." He did. He poured every memory, every emotion, hope, compassion, courage into that link. And slowly the storm began to calm. The red light faded into softer shades. The shadows outside started to move upward, away from the dome, dissolving into the sky like dust carried by wind. Eli opened his eyes. "It's working," he said, his voice trembling with both fear and wonder. Tarn's glow dimmed a little. He looked exhausted but peaceful. "They're finding their way." Back through the fold, the ground stopped shaking. The silence that followed was deep and heavy, but not empty. It felt like peace. Eli turned to Tarn, breathing hard. "You did it," Tarn smiled faintly. "We did it." But even as he said it, Eli noticed Tarn's glow flickering weakly, his scales dulling. "Something wasn't right, Tarn," Eli said softly. "Hey, stay with me." Tarn's voice was barely a whisper now. "Energy, too much. Must rest." Eli caught him as he slumped forward, his body cold to the touch. The storm outside was gone, but inside the dorm the air still hummed with fading power. Eli looked out the window one last time. The sky above Europa was calm again, yet his heart was pounding with fear, for his alien friend who had just saved them all. Eli knelt on the cold floor, holding Tarn's limp body in his arms. The alien's scales, once glowing blue, were now pale and dull. His chest rose and fell weakly, each breath sounding like it might be his last. "Come on, buddy," Eli whispered, shaking him gently. "Don't do this. You can't just fade out on me now." But Tarn didn't respond. His eyes were half open, dim reflections of the fading stormlight still flickering through the window. The connection between them, the strange telepathic link, was still faintly alive, humming softly at the back of Eli's mind. He could feel Tarn's thoughts, faint like a whisper carried by wind. "It is done. The storm is leaving." Eli swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "Then stay with me. Don't go quiet. We still need to fix this place." But even as he spoke, the silence outside grew deeper. The storm had vanished completely, leaving Europa's sky clear and cold. Only the faint shimmer of stars remained, beautiful and distant. Eli looked around the room. The power was still dead. The air smelled faintly of ozone, and frost crept along the edges of the walls. Everything was eerily still. It was hard to believe that only minutes ago the world had been shaking apart. He pressed his palm against Tarn's chest. There was a faint vibration beneath his hand, a slow rhythmic pulse. "You're still here," Eli said softly. "I can feel you." Then inside his mind he heard Tarn's voice, soft and far away. "Do not worry, Eli. My kind are built for endurance. I just need to rest. Eli sighed in relief. You scared me half to death, you know that? A faint smile crossed Tarn's lips. You humans, always dramatic. Eli laughed shakily, wiping his face. Yeah, well, you almost turned me into a solo act. But the laughter faded quickly. The room was still glowing faintly, filled with the residue of the energy they had released. Small lights flickered in the air like fireflies, fading one by one. Eli could almost feel the echoes of the beings they had freed, soft whispers of gratitude drifting through the silence. He sat beside Tarn, his back against the wall. The weight of what had just happened pressed down on him. He had touched something beyond understanding, minds older than civilizations trapped between realities. And somehow, they had reached peace. Tarn's breathing grew stronger, more stable. His glow returned slowly, painting the room in soft blue light again. After a while, Tarn opened his eyes. His voice was weak but steady. Did it work? Eli nodded. Yeah, the storm's gone. The sky's clear, Tarn exhaled softly. Good, they are free now. They were not evil, only lost. Eli leaned back, staring at the ceiling. You risked your life for them. Tarn turned his head slightly toward him. Would you not have done the same? Eli smiled faintly. Yeah, I guess I would. But it's still different when you see someone actually do it. Tarn's eyes closed again, his tone calm. You humans surprise me. You feel things so deeply, even for strangers. That's what keeps us human, Eli said quietly. We care even when it hurts. For a long time they sat in silence. The air was finally warm again, the frost melting into small droplets that ran down the walls. The stillness didn't feel empty anymore, it felt peaceful. Eli thought about the storm, about the connection they shared. It wasn't just communication, it was understanding. Two completely different species, sharing thoughts, fear, and hope. Somehow that bond had saved not just them, but something ancient and lost. Tarn stirred again, slowly sitting up. His movements were weak, but his eyes were clearer now. Eli, he said quietly, the resonance. It is still in you, Eli blinked. What do you mean? Tarn looked at him carefully. When we connected, a part of their energy passed into you. That's why you could feel them. That link may not fade completely. Eli frowned, touching his temple. So I'm still connected to them? Perhaps. Or perhaps they left something behind, a memory, a blessing. Eli looked out the window. The stars outside seemed brighter somehow. He wondered if those freed beings were out there, drifting home. Tarn's voice broke the quiet again. Eli, thank you. Without your courage, I could not have done this. Eli turned to him, smiling softly. Hey, we're roommates, remember? We stick together, even through cosmic nightmares. Tarn let out a soft laugh, his first real one since they'd met. It was strange, melodic, and warm. Outside, Europa's dawn began to rise, a pale blue glow spreading across the icy horizon. The storm was gone, but its memory remained in the stillness of the stars. And inside that small dorm, two beings, one human, one alien, sat side by side, quietly watching the light return to their world. The morning light on Europa was pale and cold, spreading gently across the cracked surface of the dome. From their dorm window, Eli could see faint blue skies returning, calm, empty, peaceful. But that peace didn't reach his heart. Not yet, Tarn was still weak. His scales had regained some color, but his energy field was unstable. Every few minutes, his glow would flicker, and his breathing would slow. Eli stayed beside him, refusing to rest. Lie down, Tarn said quietly. You need sleep. Eli shook his head. Not until you're okay. Tarn looked at him with tired amusement. You are a strange human. Yeah, Eli replied softly. I've been told that. They both sat in silence for a while. The hum of the power systems had not returned, and the academy remained under lockdown. Outside, the stars seemed to shimmer brighter, as if the universe itself was trying to heal after the strange event. Eli turned to Tarn. Do you think the others, the ones from the storm, made it home? Tarn nodded weakly. Yes, I can still feel the faint trail of their resonance moving far from this place. They are free. That's good, Eli said. At least something beautiful came out of this mess. But Tarn's expression grew serious. Eli, there is something else. What? The energy that passed through us, it hasn't fully settled. The storm may be gone, but the dimensional fold it came from is still open, Eli frowned. Open? You mean it could come back? Not by itself, Tarn said. But if the energy grows unstable again, the fold could reopen. And this time it will tear through the dome. Eli's stomach tightened. So how do we stop it? Tarn's gaze drifted toward the small console by the wall. There is a way to seal it. I can use my life field to stabilize the remaining energy and close the fold for good. Eli's eyes widened. Wait, your life field? That sounds like... It means what you think, Tarn interrupted softly. I will not survive the process. Eli stood up sharply. No, absolutely not. There's got to be another way. Tarn's calm eyes met his. There isn't. This is energy beyond human technology. Only a being with resonance alignment can do it. Only I can. Eli's hands clenched into fists. You saved them already. You don't have to die for this. Tarn smiled faintly. You once told me humans never give up on what they care about. Now you must understand. We Lorethians are the same. We do not abandon what we have touched with our spirit. Eli felt a lump rise in his throat. Then let me help. If you're doing this, I'm with you. Tarn shook his head. No, Eli, if I link you again, you'll be pulled into the fold. You won't come back, Eli's voice broke. I can't just watch you die. Tarn placed a hand on his shoulder, his touch gentle. You won't be watching. You'll be witnessing something beautiful. Eli's eyes filled with tears. You don't have to be a hero, Tarn. Tarn smiled softly. I am not being a hero. I am being your friend. Before Eli could reply, Tarn turned toward the console and began to hum, a deep, resonant tone that vibrated through the air. His entire body started to glow again, brighter and brighter, until the light filled the room like a small star. The air crackled with energy. Eli backed away, shielding his eyes. Tarn, stop! You don't have to do this. But Tarn's voice echoed through the light, calm and full of peace. Do not mourn me, Eli. Remember what we learned tonight. Life connects all things. Even when separated by galaxies, the light grew unbearable. The walls trembled. Eli felt warmth rush over him, wrapping him in a soft wave of emotion. Hope, friendship, love. Then, suddenly, silence. When Eli opened his eyes again, the light was gone. The hum had stopped. The air was still. Tarn lay motionless on the floor, his scales no longer glowing. The console beside him showed a single steady light. The fold had closed. The danger was gone. Eli fell to his knees beside him, his heart breaking. He whispered shakily, You did it, my friend. You really did it. Outside the window, the first rays of sunlight touched Europa's ice plains, turning them golden. The storm was truly over. But for Eli, the morning came with tears. The academy was quiet the next morning. The emergency lights had faded and power was slowly returning across the dome. Students and staff emerged from their rooms, blinking under the pale glow of restored lamps. Whispers filled the halls, stories of the strange red storm, of the night that felt like the end of the world. But Eli didn't join them. He sat alone in his dorm room, the same place where it had all happened. The silence felt heavier now. The floor still carried faint traces of light where Tarn had stood, as if the air itself remembered him. Eli's eyes were red and tired. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Tarn's last smile, the glow fading from his scales, and the warmth that had filled the room before everything went still. He looked at Tarn's old datapad resting on the table. The screen flickered faintly, showing strange patterns of light like a heartbeat that refused to stop completely. Eli whispered, I hope you're out there somewhere, Tarn. The words broke something inside him. He pressed his hand against the table, his shoulders trembling. You didn't just save us. You saved me. There was a gentle knock on the door. Commander Rhea entered quietly, her uniform marked with fatigue. She looked at him for a long moment, her voice soft. We all heard what happened. The readings from your sector are impossible. Whatever you two did last night, it sealed the rift completely. Eli nodded without looking up. He did it. Tarn saved everyone, Commander Rhea sighed. The records show a massive energy spike consistent with life force conversion. He knew the cost, didn't he? Eli swallowed hard. Yeah, he knew. Rhea placed a hand on his shoulder. I'm sorry, son. He was one of the good ones. When she left, Eli sat in silence again. The emptiness pressed against him, but under it something else began to stir. A quiet strength, a warmth that refused to fade. Tarn's words echoed in his mind. Life connects all things, even when separated by galaxies. Eli stood up and walked to the window. Europa's surface glistened under the weak sun, the ice glowing gold and blue. It was the most peaceful morning he had ever seen. He took a deep breath and whispered, "You said you'd show me your home someday. Maybe one day I'll find it myself." That thought sparked something inside him, a new purpose. Tarn's sacrifice wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of Eli's. He began to work. Day after day, he studied the data Tarn left behind: energy harmonics, dimensional resonance, and emotional wave theory. The alien's notes were complex, written in symbols that merged science with feeling, but Eli understood enough to see what Tarn had been trying to teach him. Months passed. Europa's skies returned to normal, but news of the Crimson Night spread across the human colonies. Many called it a miracle. No one truly knew what happened that night except one man, the human who lost a friend to the stars. On the anniversary of the storm, Eli stood at the observation deck. He carried a small crystalline sphere in his hands. Inside it glowed a faint light, a fragment of the energy field Tarn left behind, preserved like a memory. Eli smiled softly. "I thought you'd want to see this view again." The stars above shimmered, their light reflecting in his eyes. For a brief moment he felt it, a warmth brushing against his thoughts. It wasn't a voice, not exactly, but he knew it. Tarn. The feeling was gentle, peaceful, proud. Eli whispered, his voice trembling, "I miss you, friend." The light in the crystal pulsed once like a heartbeat, and then grew still again. Eli wiped a tear and looked up at the stars. "You taught me that being human isn't about what we can destroy. It's about what